All right, let's talk about Pontocho Kaiseki. It's one of those bucket list experiences in Kyoto, but it can also be pretty intimidating. Today we're going to break it all down, what it is, how to do it right, and maybe most importantly, the common mistakes that can ruin a very, very expensive meal. Because you need to understand, this is so much more than just grabbing a bite to eat.
Right off the bat, let's get one thing straight. This is not a normal night out. You don't pick from a menu, you don't ask for substitutions, and you definitely don't eat at your own pace. You're not really a customer in the way you usually think of one. You're an audience member.
Because that's what Kaiseki is. It's a performance. It is a tightly choreographed 2-hour story that the chef is telling you through ingredients, textures, and temperatures. They're the director, and you've been invited to watch their masterpiece unfold. So to really get it, we first have to understand the philosophy behind it all.
To really understand what's happening on that beautiful plate in front of you, we got to look at the ideas that created it in the first place.
So the word kaiseki literally means warm stone, and it comes from this practice where Buddhist monks, to fight off hunger pangs during long tea ceremonies, would put heated stones inside their robes to warm their stomachs. It was all about simplicity, about what was in season, and about respecting the food. And even though it's evolved into this incredibly high-end art form, that original spirit is still there.
And the stage for all this? Pontocho Alley. Well, it has its own wild story. I mean, just a few decades ago, this was a totally exclusive geisha district. You couldn't get in unless you had a special introduction. It was completely closed off. But then, thanks to big shifts in the economy and a huge tourism boom, those doors swung open, creating this unbelievable hub of world-class dining that anyone can experience today.
Okay, so you've pulled the trigger, you've made a reservation. What actually happens over those 2 hours? Let's break down the story arc of the meal itself.
Now, a full kaiseki can have like 10 or even 12 courses, which sounds totally overwhelming. But it's much easier if you think of it like a play in 4 acts. It starts with an overture, these light, subtle little bites that just whisper what season it is. Then it builds to a crescendo with bigger, richer flavors, like the absolute best sashimi of the day and some perfectly grilled fish or meat. After that peak, you get the interlude, some rice, soup, and pickles to kind of reset everything. And it all wraps up with the finale, which is usually just a simple, perfect piece of seasonal fruit. It's a journey from delicate to rich and then all the way back to simple.
You know, people get so worried about chopstick etiquette, but honestly, this is the one rule that truly matters. Each course is a chapter. You have to finish one chapter before the next one starts. If you don't, you're basically flipping to the end of the book and ruining the story the chef has so carefully built for you. You just have to trust their pacing.
Okay, let's get practical. Let's talk about the playbook. How do you plan for this? How do you book it? And how do you do it without any painful surprises for your wallet?
So Pontocho kind of has different tiers. You've got your top-level Michelin-starred spots. That's your once-in-a-lifetime, blow-the-budget kind of night. Then in the middle, you have these fantastic traditional places, perfect for serious food lovers. And then there are more modern spots, which are often a bit more relaxed and a really great way to dip your toes in for the first time. You can really match the vibe to your budget.
So, you're looking at a menu for a great mid-range restaurant, and you see this price, 15,000 yen. That's, what, around $100 US? For a meal like this, that seems pretty darn reasonable, right? Well, here's the thing. That menu price, that's just the starting line. The actual cost is almost always much higher, and not knowing this is where a lot of people walk away feeling a little blindsided.
Let's look at the real math. You've got that base menu price. Then there's the sake pairing. Now, it might be listed as recommended, but let's be real, it's pretty much essential. The chef literally designed the dishes to go with those specific drinks. Skipping it is like watching a movie with the sound off. Then you add on a service charge, and sometimes a small seat charge, and, well, you see where this is going.
So that $15,000 dinner very quickly becomes $25,000 or more per person. Knowing this upfront is a total game changer. It's not about it being too expensive, it's about budgeting for the real price so you can actually sit back, relax, and enjoy the full experience for what it is.
Okay, now for the really crucial insider stuff. These are the 3 biggest mistakes first-timers make that can totally sabotage this amazing experience. So let's make sure you avoid them.
First up, and this one might be surprising, wearing perfume or cologne. I know, it seems like the right thing to do when you're getting dressed up for a fancy dinner.
But here's what's really happening. Kaiseki is all about incredibly subtle aromas. The hint of yuzu, the delicate smell of the dashi broth, a strong scent just bulldozes right over all of that. It doesn't just ruin it for you, it ruins it for everyone else in that tiny, intimate dining room. You're basically blinding your own senses and your neighbors to a huge part of what you paid for.
Next up, mistake number 2, the rice course. A beautiful wooden tub of perfect steaming rice shows up, and it's so tempting to just fill your bowl to the brim.
But here's the cultural disconnect. In Western meals, carbs often come early. In a traditional Japanese meal, rice comes near the end. It's a signal that the meal is winding down. It's not the main event. If you fill up on it, you're going to be way too stuffed for the amazing grilled fish or Wagyu beef that's probably still on its way. You'll miss out on some of the best stuff.
And finally, the very modern mistake, spending 5 minutes trying to get that perfect shot for Instagram.
Look, the presentation is art. I get it. Of course you want a photo. But so many of these dishes are about temperature and timing down to the second. A steamed egg custard is perfect for maybe a minute. Tempura loses its crunch in 90 seconds. While you're finding the right angle and filter, the chef's perfect creation is dying on the plate. The solution is easy. Take one quick photo, then put the phone down and eat immediately.
So after all of that, the philosophy, the etiquette, the real cost, we get to the big question. Is a Kaiseki dinner actually the right choice for your trip?
Let's frame it like this. For that 25,000 yen it costs for one person to have a Kaiseki dinner, you could have 5 incredible casual meals out in Kyoto. You could have amazing ramen, killer yakitori, fresh sushi, all of it. You'd eat more food and probably make more individual memories. The choice isn't between a good or bad dinner. It's a trade-off. Do you want one single night of profound depth, art, and cultural immersion, or do you want 5 nights of variety and casual fun?
There is absolutely no wrong answer here, but understanding what you're choosing between is everything. It all comes down to asking yourself a simple question. What kind of story do you want your travels to tell?